obviously, there are restrictions in JavaScript. One of those restrictions are security restrictions. Basically, JavaScript on a web page may not read or write files on a hard disk, copy them, or execute programs, as it has no direct access to the operating system functions. So modern browsers allow it to work with files, but the access is limited and can only be provided if the user does certain actions, like, for example, dropping a file into the browser window or selecting it via the input tag, right? And device permissions, well, there are other ways to interact with the camera, microphone, and other devices, but they do require a user's explicit permissions. So a JavaScript enabled page may not sneakily enable a web camera to observe surroundings, etc., etc. Right? So with that being said, let us get to the business of today. And okay, introduction to JavaScript was our first topic, but well, I guess the main topic of today, or one of the main topics will be variables and data types. So a variable is an abstract location paired with an associated symbolic name, which contains some known or unknown quantity of data or object to as a value. So basically, in layman's terms, variables are containers that store data. Now, we use three keywords to declare variables, namely var, let, and const keywords, right? So, okay, maybe let me show an example. So I'm gonna open my terminal. I hope Rosie already showed you guys how to open the terminal. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna create a folder. I'm gonna name it JS underscore bootcamp, like that. And then I'm gonna CD. So CD basically means that I'm going to the folder that I've created. Right. So now we're inside the folder, JS underscore bootcamp, and I'm just gonna write this code period to open my VS Code right there. Alrighty. Okay. Uh, I'm gonna use my git bash for this. Okay. So obviously some of you guys are not familiar with the commands I'm using, but you could just use the you could just create a new file like this, but um I basically just like to do it this way. Um we need to create HTML index.html. And then what else do I need to create? I'm going to create a file for, what should I name this file? Variables. JS. So this is our JavaScript file. And I'm going to do a little bit of a cheat code. So I'm just going to say Shift 1, enter, like that, right? This is cheating, but anyway, I hope you guys got that. And then what are we going to do? Let me see. I think what I want to do now is I'm going to, let me see, let's do this. I'm going to have a script. Variables.
Caesar,
Hello.
Caesar, sorry for interrupting. They are asking you to please zoom in.
Yeah, sheesh. Okay. Yo, this is gonna hurt my eyes. Oh, okay. How do I do this? Oh, it's gonna hurt my eyes bad. What's the, how do we do this? What's the, what's the, um, what's the compromise here? Mm, okay, that's fine. Let's try to zoom in. How do I zoom in here?
Control plus.
Okay, how's that?
Looks good
Okay,
to
that's
me.
better.
Okay, you guys owe me 500 for my consultation with the doctor. Let me just try to see if this works. So I just console.log. Hello. I'm doing this to see that I'm using my script, right? JavaScript. So I'm just gonna run my local server and okay, this is basically how it is. And it's just inspect console. Hello. All right. I think we're good to go. All right. So that works, right? Now, where were we? Data types. No, not data types, variables. These are just my notes. Let me just move that. All right. What's going on here? Where's that folder? Hmm. No, I don't want it like this. Okay, guys, just give me a second. There you go. So, let's use a var keyword to declare variable. So, var, let's say var x is equals to 6, right? And this is basically what I'm doing is I'm using my var keyword to declare the variable x, right? And I'm assigning it to 6. So if I were to print this, or rather to log this, I'll say uh, like that, right? Now, let's see what we have. There we go. So I'm printing my variable x, and I'm basically giving a message of I, right? So there is variable x, right? So let me declare another variable using the var keyword. I'll just say underscore y, give it 1, right? Then let me print out our variable underscore y. I'll say, let's call it y. Let's see what that gives us. There we go. Now, 1, like that. So how about I declare something like this? 2x is equals to 8. Obviously, that is not allowed. And when you see something like this in JavaScript, just know that you did something very wrong. If I just hover over this, then it will give me the error message. An identifier keyword cannot immediately follow a numeric literal. So you cannot have a number, or I don't know, a number before your what is this? Your variable name or something like that. So basically, you cannot use numbers to declare variables like that, right? So another way to declare variable is to use let u is equals to u, right? And another way to declare a variable is a const keyword, which is const me, like that, right? And if we print u, and me, this is what you should be getting. So me is not defined. Oh, sorry. Okay, so pay attention here. So I wrote me with the capital M and E, and here I called it with a capital M but a small e. Hence, it's not defined. So if I could just change that and do it like that, there we go, you and me, right? Okay, so that is how you declare variables in JavaScript. So, all right, where is my, let's see. Okay, so let's move on. So when you declare a variable, a var variable, its scope is not limited to the block in which is defined. It's limited to the function that is declared in, right? So okay, I'll show you guys an example of that later. And a var keyword is basically function scoped, whereas the let and const are blocked scope, right? So the let keyword is used to declare a block scope variable, just like I mentioned, and the const keyword is used to declare a constant variable. And once the variable is declared, you cannot change it, meaning that it cannot be reassigned to a new value. So let me show a couple of examples. So okay, I see. Okay, let me just do this. All right. And then I'm gonna comment that out for you guys. So let's start with a function scope. So I'm gonna declare a function right now, and I'm gonna call it me, like that, right? Do not worry about a function or what is a functions for now. I'm just doing this to demonstrate something. So let's declare a variable called xx, right? And we're just gonna 5. We're just gonna assign it to a value of 5, right? Actually, let's do it like this. Let's make it more interesting. Let me have a for loop. Again, don't panic if you don't know what a for loop is. We'll discuss that later. Let me assign it to a value of 0, and let's say if the variable I is less than 5, and let's just make an increment of I, right? And then let us print out our variable I like that, right? So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to log I outside of the for loop where I declared my initial variable of I, right? So actually let me say inside the scope. Let me say this is outside of block scope. This is inside block scope. And then this is inside, and then let's log variable I outside of the function. Outside of block and function scope. Okay. So what's happening here is that this is a function, right? So this is what we mean by function scope. So this is what we mean by function scope. So essentially what they're saying is that um if a variable is declared with the var keyword, right, it will be relevant inside of the function scope, right? And then in this case, however, we've declared our variable I inside of our block scope, in this case of for loop, right? So ideally, not ideally, but if you use a let keyword and then you print out your variable inside a block scope, it should work. However, if you call it outside of the block scope, it should be undefined. However, with var, we declared our variable inside of a block scope, and this block scope is inside of the function scope. So it should work here and it should work here, right? But since now we're calling it outside of the function scope, this should give undefined. So let's see if my theory is correct. Okay, I'm gonna call my function me just here. And let's see what we're working with. All right. Okay, it's fine. So, as you can see, our variable I starts initially at 0. Starts at 0 and it increments as long as I is less than 5. Do not worry about this. We'll get to it later. But basically is that I have to print out I as long as I is less than 5. So as you can see, initially it's 0, then it increments to 1, 2, 3, 4. So it increments inside the block scope, right? But now that we are done, since now 5 is not less than 5, we get out of this block scope right here. So we move out of it, we exit the for loop, right? Now we are outside of our block scope. So because we're using a var keyword, it still means it's still relevant. Why is it still relevant? Because we are still inside of our function scope, right? So that's why you see outside of block scope right here, 5 outside of block scope right here. Now we exit our function scope, and then we go to this line here, line 17, outside of block and function scope. So now I outside of the function scope is not relevant because it was declared inside of the function scope, right? So that is the var keyword. Now, also, one thing to remember about the var keyword, when you declare variables with the var keyword, sometimes you'll run into problems that you don't understand. And that is because, for example, let's say, as you can see here, I've declared a variable I inside of this block scope right here, right? And let's say I declare another variable I outside of block scope. Outside of the block scope, what you're gonna do is you're gonna run into problems, unexpected problems, and it might create bugs. That's why myself and many developers, um, we either use the let keyword or the cons keyword, right? Because you don't want to run into those bugs or those issues, right? So now let us see what happens. Let's use the same example, but we use a let keyword. So what do you think is going to happen here? I'll give you guys 10 minutes 10 seconds to think about it. Yes, Itumeleng. Itumeleng.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think at the moment it will print 0 up to 4. Then when it gets to line 13, I will be undefined.
Mm-hmm.
Then on line 17 again, I is undefined.
I hope you're a betting
So
man.
meaning it will print I then inside block scope for is it 5 times? Yeah, from 0 to 4. Then again on line 13 it will say I is undefined. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking.
Okay, let's see if you're right. Okay, so 0 to 4 inside block scope, right? Correct. And then reference error I is not defined at line 13 right there. So correct again and correct again. So essentially, now that we're using a var keyword, var is limited, I mean, not a var keyword, a lit keyword. The variables in lit are limited inside a block scope. So this is a block scope right here. And then this is a function scope. So when we use a lit variable, I mean lit keyword to declare variable, it means that that variable is only relevant inside of this block scope right there. So if you call I outside of this block scope, then I is not defined. Additionally, when you call it outside of the block scope right here, I is still not defined. I hope that makes sense, right? So let's go back to our notes. So let me reiterate. Var, function scope. Lit and const, block scope. Ooh, forgot something. What if we do something like this? So if I remove lit keyword and I say const, and I use the const keyword, what is going to happen? I will give you guys 10 seconds to think about that. Going once, twice. Constantia raised her hand first. I don't know, am I pronouncing it right?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. You said that cons is constant, so it cannot be changed. So it will give us an error
Okay.
because we are trying to change it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. There we go. Assignment to constant variable. So is it Miss, right? Miss Constantia is right.
Yes.
So as you can see, we're only able to print out our I variable once, which is at line 11 right here. And then because now at this point, I is initially at 0. When we increment I, which becomes 1, 1 is not greater than 5. So because now we are trying to reassign I to a new value, it is we can't because we used a keyword that is constant, right? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, back to our notes. Let keyword used to declare block scope variable, whereas the const keyword is used to declare a constant variable. And once the variable is declared, you cannot change it. It cannot be reassigned to a new value. This is important to remember, guys. I'm moving along. So I'm talking about scopes. Some of you guys may not understand scopes. So here we are. Scope in JavaScript refers to visibility of the variable and functions within the program. So there are 3 types of scopes. Can you guys name the scope that I haven't talked about? Tato, your hand is up. I'll go with you. Tato. Tato. Okay, who's next? Who's next? I saw Constantia again. No, let's go with Hector. Hector Mohane. Hector. Okay.
Hello.
Okay. All right, Hector.
Yes. My PC is kind of slow. Yeah, the one that you haven't talked about is global scope.
What do you think global scope is? It's if you don't know, it's fine. Okay. It's fine. Let me continue. It's fine. Thanks, Hector. You're right. So there are three types of scopes: global scope, function scope, and block scope. The one that I haven't touched is the global scope, which is the outermost scope inside the JavaScript program, right? Variables and functions in this are visible anywhere in the program, right? So we talked about function scope, we talked about block scope, right? Now let us look at global scope. So, how am I going to do this? Let's say, let's have it's a variable x and assign it to a value of 2, right? I'm going to remove this. And then inside my function, I will have let's have an if statement. So if statement falls part of block scope, right? So if I say x is greater than 3, no. Let's make it 4. Let's say x is greater than 3, right? And then let me just copy and paste this line because I'm lazy to type. And I'll just say inside. Okay. And let's see. Okay, let me declare another variable and call it y. Let's say it's 6. And then let me call y here. Okay. Like that. And call y there. And then let me call x. Let me call x and a y here. And I'm just going to give it a message x and y. And then let me call x and y here again, outside of the block and function scope. Okay, so we have a global variable, which is x. And I have an if statement inside our function. Basically what this means, it says if x, which is 4, is greater than 3. If this is true, then execute this code inside this block right here. And yeah, so this may be tricky for some of you guys, but I'd be happy if one of you guys attempt to tell us what are we going to see on our logs. Ronald, okay, Njana. Okay, please correct me your surname, Mr. Ronald.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Okay, cool. So looking at your code now, it will run, but on if statement, it's true, then it will print 6 and it will say inside of block scope. Then below there, it will give you an undefined on y then. Because The let y, it's defined outside of that console log xy. So the first one it will run, but below that will give you an undefined y.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Ronald, while you still at it, right? You say line 15 is going to be undefined, right? Because of I declared my y inside of the if statement, right? So now if I remove y here and I remove y here, what's going to happen?
Yeah, it's going to run now. So it's going to give you, so on the message, it's going to say 6 inside of block scope. And then below there, it's going to say 4 and x on the console log. Because the x haven't changed. It's still 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we have 6 inside of block scope, correct? We have 4 outside of the block scope, but because it's a global variable, it's still correct, right? And then we have 4 outside of the block scope. So, Mr. Ronald, if you don't mind, can you just summarize what happened here?
Where?
Highlighting the global scope. So why is global scope why are we able to call the variable x inside of the function scope and the block scope and including outside? Maybe just summarize.
Okay, for the x, in order to call it inside the function and also outside, it's because it's a global variable. So it's defined outside the function, meaning that you can call it anywhere on your script. So if it was defined inside that function, then only you can use it inside that function.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. How do you pronounce your surname again?
It's in Jana.
Jana. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right. So that is global scope, ladies and gents. All right. Thank you for that, sir. Now we are going to move into data types, right? Okay. Now I would say let's take a 5-minute break if you guys want to. Mdlazi?
Yes, we can take a 5-minute break and then they can come back at 10:20.
10:20. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, it's 20 past 10. Caesar, are you back? Caesar,
Oh, Nalana.
oh, you
I'm here.
back? Okay, okay, cool. And then the rest of the participants, are you back? By show of hands, who's back? All right, all right. Okay, thank you. Caesar, should we take a few questions? Or you want to proceed and then we'll take them afterwards?
We can take them now.
Okay. Okay, let's start with the hands that are raised. Tato. Tato. Hello, Tato.
I think there's something wrong with Tato's mic because he raised his hand previously, but it was still.
Yeah. Colin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing
Hi,
it.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Tato.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Tato, we can hear you.
I just wanted to ask just two questions. How do you actually run the variable, the JS file?
Okay. So can do it of two ways, right? For the sake of this, I just did it this way. So if you have some, obviously, okay, not obviously, but moving forward, maybe when we do Node, you'll see it, but sometimes, not sometimes, we install Node into our machine, right? And then once Node is installed, we would just run it like Node variables.js, right? But since we are still in the early stages and we're still using HTML, what I did was I created an HTML file. And then if you could just, you guys are learning, I would rather you write this entire thing over and over again. But a little cheat code is I just press Shift 1, right? So maybe let me just remove this and I say Shift 1, right? And I say enter. Basically, this is what's gonna happen, right? Cheat code, but don't do that. Anyway, and then what I did is I have a script, right? So I'll just have a script here. And then the source will be variables .js. Basically, I want to run my JavaScript inside HTML right here. So with the source, I'll just say variables.js. Now, when you do this, also, I call this under the body tag, right? Under the body tag. So basically, whatever's here will run first, and then this will run after. And then, so basically, when you want to test, right? Let's say you want to test if you're doing the right things. You just go to the folder. I mean, not the folder, the file that you called here or referenced here, right? And then just for testing purposes, you just do something like log, maybe you could say hello or testing, right? Something like this. And then when you're done with that, you could just go, there should be a little run, click to run live server. Now, I am not sure if Josie showed you guys how to install this. I'm not sure. But if you have this, you can just click here, run live server. If not, oof, you can install this extension. You can just click here extensions of decryptors. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that later. Let's see, live extension. I forgot what it's called, but let's try to find it. Live. Where is it? Okay, I forgot.
The live extension has to be up there. Unless you already
It's
installed it, so that's why.
yeah,
Yeah,
usually it
okay.
shows me even the ones that I've installed.
Yeah.
Like all this I've already installed. I
Mm.
forgot the name. I'll give it to you guys on Slack. But to answer your question, once that's done, you just click go live right here. It's gonna open up the browser, right? And then what I do, I just left click and go to inspect. And then I just click on console right here. Then we go hello. So now I know that my script, my JavaScript is working instead of HTML. So yeah, Tato, that's basically the rundown. I think Tato had another question.
Yes, Tato.
Uh, I wanted to ask, what was those quotation lines that you wrote after the variable? So you declared the variable, and then when you came to console.log, you wrote the variable, and then you said comma, quotation. I don't know what was that.
Wait,
And
but
just
this
another quick thing: can we use single quotes with double quotes, or is it just single quotes? Yes, that.
okay. Okay. Let me answer your first question. The second question, you'll see as we go. So let me cook my G. Right. So what's happening here is basically on line 6, I'm basically console.log. For some of you guys that use Python, it's similar to print, the print statement, right? So on console.log is basically I want to see what's happening with the variable. Like it's basically me trying to understand that am I doing the right thing. This is very good for debugging as well. Rather, mainly it's used for debugging. So what I did here was I declared a variable u and then I assigned it to a string u, right? And so me printing, I'm printing my u variable to see indeed if it's u, it has a string u, and the comma basically means that I can print more than one thing, right? So I'm printing you and this. So this basically helps me. So sometimes you have a lot of console logs, like you'll have a lot of print statements. And then, so if you don't give your print statement a message. Sometimes you won't know what variable you're looking for or what values you're looking for. Basically, what I'm saying, you won't know if in the midst of all the print statements, you're gonna get lost and you don't know which which value was assigned to the u variable, right? So if I could just have a comma and then just add a message, then I know that when I go to my console on browser, I could just look for this right here. So I just say I, and then I know I is the U variable. So that is a nice thing to know. It's just a small, tiny little trick to save you some time. And the second question, we're going to talk about strings later on. So I hope if I didn't answer your question by then, feel free to ask again. Sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm answering.
Okay, Caesar, we're taking 2 more questions from Carlin Law. Carlin, yes? Okay, Carlin doesn't want to talk. Frank?
Hi, I just want to ask a question based on what was just said about the II, just to confirm. So essentially, the console log is similar to the print function. Fine, I get that. So the U is a variable. So the II in quotation is the value that is printed out in place of the. It's more like a string that's printed in place of the variable. Is that correct?
No, no. Okay, let me do this. Right? Let me just uncomment this out. Who's this Frank, nah?
Yeah.
What do you think I'm going to see on the logs?
In this case, you put let in your constant is me, so you're going to see both variables that you declared at the top, which is you and me.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's do this. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, I'm tired now. Okay, so which one? Obviously, you already know, but think of it this way: you have a large program, like a large code base, and inside of your program, inside of other files, you have console statements. So you're printing things, and you then remove them, and then you come to variables.js, and then you're printing stuff, right? Or you console logging stuff. Now we have console log you and me, but I'm looking at all of this. Let's say maybe let's just have a run. Let's just say at this point I don't know what you variable or what me variable is supposed to look like, and then I have all these console logs. How am I going to know which is which, right? So for me to be able to identify you and me, I'll just add a print message. This is what I call it, print message. Other people call it differently. But for me to understand what I'm doing, I'll say a print message. And I'll write this is you and me variable. So when I go back to my log, then I see, oh, this is you and me variable. Okay. So that means variable u is him and variable me is K. Does that, so this basically helps, this message right here helps me to look for the values that I've printed out. I don't know if that makes sense.
Is it more
So
like a comment in a sense?
yes, comment, message, you get the vibes. Yes,
Okay,
sure.
thanks.
Okay. Any more questions before we move on?
Yes, can we just take Tato? Tato wanted to ask. I don't know, there's something wrong with Tato's mic. We also have Tonolo as well.
Yeah,
And after Tonolo we're done. Yes,
Is
Tato?
it- Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
I can
Yeah,
hear
I
you.
was going to ask, I see some lines end in a semicolon, just like other programming languages, and then some don't. So I don't know, is JavaScript different when it comes to that concept?
like JavaScript is I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's not strict. So as opposed to C++. C++, you write a line of code, it's mandatory to add a semicolon. With JavaScript, it's not mandatory, right? So sometimes, uh, so if I use, uh, I use, um, I use an extension called Prettier, right? So basically to make my code readable and look good. So sometimes if I add Prettier, you'll find that it will add the semicolons for me. So if you don't, even if you don't add a semicolon, it's fine. JavaScript is not strict like that, like C++. However, if you were coding in C++, it is mandatory to add a semicolon, right? So as you can see, I installed an extension called Prettier. And yeah, there it is, Prettier, right? And this basically just helps me to make my code look prettier and add more prettier, more readable, and add, semicolons where I missed them, etc., right? So yeah, you can see now all every line of code has or rather almost every line of code has semicolons.
Okay,
Can
turn all of
anybody-
that so we can't hear you.
Whoa, I muted her. Should I unmute her?
Um, yeah, because she wanted to talk, or he wants to talk.
There
I don't
was
know.
a there was a I don't know, a loud noise.
So look, yeah.
It.
Hey, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, so I wanted to ask on your first console log, is there a message or are you just using it as a message?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
That string, the last string, this is you and me variable. Are
Mm-hmm.
you using that as a message for yourself or is it a message in itself? I don't know if you understand me
You
because
can for the purpose of this, right? For the purpose of this, it's a message for me to be able to. Okay, my network internet is unstable. Can you guys hear me?
basically it's just a string like any other string.
Yeah. For the purpose of this.
You can put it in a variable as the same string and just replace it with that variable.
Yes, we can do that actually. We can. But for the purpose of this, remember when you are writing a large code, you don't have time, or rather, you'll find it very tedious to declare variable and then call it just to see what your variable have what stored inside your variables, right? So yeah, I can declare variable right now. Um,
No, I understand. I just wanted to make
uh,
sure. I thought maybe it's something that I don't know because I heard you saying it represents a message. So I just wanted to understand. So if you are saying that, then I think I'm still following well.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
no
thank
problem.
you.
Alrighty. Oh, console log was the main thing inside these questions. Nobody asked me about variables. Okay, I guess you guys are cooking. Anyway, let's move on. Uh, what next? Data types, data types, data types. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder, or rather a new file. Call it data types.js, right? And then I'm going to go inside. So Lofed, so can you mute your mic? Thanks. And then I'm just going to comment this out. I'm just gonna add. If it's a can you? Okay, thanks. Script source data types like that. Okay, let's go to data types. Console.log data types. See if it's working. Data types, okay, it's working. Good. Now let's talk. Let's do some talking, some theory. Where's that? Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, data types. So we have two types of data types, primitive data types and reference data types. I'm not sure if there's more, but this is what we'll be focusing on today, right? So primitive data types. We have strings, number, Boolean, undefined, and null, right? So string data type, in JS, a string is basically a sequence of zeros or more characters, right? It starts and ends with either a single quote or a double quote. So sometimes you'll see I'll use a single quote to write a string or a double quote. It's not a big deal. Like I said, JavaScript is not really strict. And then strings are for storing and manipulating a text or texts, right? Then we have number data type. This basically represents an integer or floating point numbers, okay? Then we have Boolean. Boolean is a data type that has two values that is either true or false, right? So that's a Boolean. And then we have undefined. And now, if a variable is declared, but the value is not assigned to the variable, then this when we console log or print that variable, we should get undefined, right? And then we have null. In JavaScript, null is a special value that represents either an empty or unknown. So what is the difference between null and undefined? The way to think of it, or rather to simplify your life, right? Just think of when a variable is declared but is not assigned a value, JavaScript automatically sets it to undefined, right? And then with null, it's an intentional way of saying this variable has no value. So if I declare a variable and I assign it a value of null, that is me intentionally saying that I want this to be null, not necessarily undefined. Does that make sense? So when you do React and using what is this? Use state hook, you'll see a lot. Sometimes you'll find people, they will initialize the values of variables as or states rather as null or undefined. And you'll see that sometimes it has unusual or rather not necessarily the same behavior. But anyway, primitive data types. Now let's let's stop talking, start coding. Okay, so I'm gonna start with strings right now. You just have something like this, strings, right? So I'm going to use let keyword, declare variable, assign it a string value of says, right? And I'll have last name, use double quotes, mass, right? And then let nickname, what is my nickname? Say 007. Question, do you think this will print out a number or a string? Quick question. Yes, and Paul? Paul?
It will print a string since if we want a number, you don't have to write those quotations. You just write the number on.
Thank you, sir. So we've played around with strings, yeah, right? So I guess you guys already get or rather, I am hoping you guys get the concept of strings, right? So if I log first name, last name, nickname, and then C says mass 007, right? Cool name. Right. So basically that is the basics of a string. Now let's go to number. And let's go to number data type, right? Let's have a variable num is equals to 25. Let's have a floating variable, and let's say 25.4. And let's have, let's have, this, no, I don't know what to call it, honestly. Let's say 26.0. Slog num. Let's log floating. Let's log this num. Quickly, what do you guys think I'm going to see on the screen? What am I going to see for num? What am I going to see for floating? And what am I going to see for this num? Constantia. Constantia, let's give us a chance. I'll come back to you. Who else? Leon. Leon.
We'll see 25, 25.4, and 26.0.
Let's see. I saw 25, 25.4, and 26.
Ooh, 26.
You owe me $5. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? If you don't answer.
This now, I guess it's just I'm not sure actually.
Okay, so JavaScript is going to read 26.0, and it says going to say, I don't have time for this. I'll just assign it to an integer of 26, right? Because as you can see, this is a floating number, floating point, right? It's 25.4. But because it has a 0.4, this is significant, I could guess, you know. Yeah, some of you guys, when you get increases 0.4%, it's gonna make a difference. But 0.0, JavaScript is like, let me just convert this into an integer. I don't have time for this. So if you have still, I don't have time for this. This is zeros. I don't have time to deal with this, right? But now let's see if I had a point, I have a 9 here. What's gonna happen? Then JavaScript is like, oh, we have something. Okay, let's include that. I hope that makes sense. Let me just take it back to this, right? And then Boolean data type. Since Boolean can only have two values, let's say let is learning. Are you guys learning? Should I say true or false? Let's say true. I'll give you guys the benefit of the doubt. And are we done learning? Hell no. So I'll just say false. Is learning is done. Okay, this one is easy. I won't even ask you guys. True or false. That's it. That's Boolean for you, right? But let me just say type of. Type of. So what am I asking here? I'm asking JavaScript to give me the type, a data type of this variable, right? So I just say type of and Boolean right there. right? So basically, I'm just saying, what is this type of variable? Or what is the data type of this variable? Boolean, Boolean, right there, right? Simple. Or rather, it should be simple. Let's go to undefined. Remember, if a variable is declared, but the value is not assigned, then this will be undefined. So if you have, say, let let Leon, right? And if I say let's log Leon, what do you guys think is going to happen here? Constantia, okay. Let's go. Constantia.
It will be undefined because there is no value declared for Leon.
Oh, I'm gonna butcher your name right now. Please don't fight me. I saw Ronald raised his hand. Ronald, what do you think is gonna happen here? Okay, Ronald ran away. Fistas. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was here.
Okay.
I was saying it's gonna give you null since you define constantia as null.
So yeah, now let us play a game. I say type of Constantia and type of Leon. What am I expected to see on the screen on the logs? Ronald?
I think you're just gonna get the same thing, undefined and null. Oh, object, okay.
Yeah. And sometimes this is where JavaScript gets confusing, right? So now, according to JavaScript, it is a type of object, right? It's a data type of null, true, but it's also in a type of object. I won't lie to you. This part is also tricky for me to understand as it is for a couple of developers. I'll give you one example, which we'll talk about later, but let me just spoil it. We have an object and an array. An object is an object. Array is a type of object, right? You're expecting an array is an array, but an array is a type of object. Why? I'm still researching, but anyway, that is that. So yeah, maybe to illustrate the difference further, let me do something like this. So I'll say null is equals to, no, let me say null is equals to undefined. And then let me just copy and paste that. Okay. I want someone who understands JavaScript to answer what might happen here. Ronald, is that you? Constantia, is that you? Constantia?
The first statement where it says console log null equal to with a double equal, it will give us null. The second one will be undefined. That's what I think.
Ronald? Ronald?
Oh, it's gonna give you true.
Hmm. Okay.
No, wait.
Okay.
It's gonna give you false. Sorry.
Okay, one more. Mxolisi Sibaya. Mxolisi Sibaya.
So from what I understand, the triple equals sign refers to the strict equals to, which also checks the type. So I think one will be true, the top one, and then the other one will be false. Since null is an object and then undefined is undefined.
Interesting answer. Oops, let me remove this. Yeah. Interesting answer. Right, so for null is equal to undefined. It's true. Why is it true? Because both values are empty values, and I say this in quotation marks. Both values are empty values. But null is strictly equals to undefined is false. Why? Because null is an object and undefined is its own type. Does it? Okay. Let me reiterate. Remember we used the type of. Remember we checked type of constantia and it gave us, it told us that the data type is null, right? No, the data type is an object, right? So what happens here on line 27 is that it does not only check if these values are empty, it checks the data type. So it goes an extra further step. So basically saying null is strictly equal to undefined. No, it's false because null is an object and undefined is its own data type. So yeah. Okay. Okay. Reference data types. So we have objects. We have objects, arrays, and functions, right? An object is a collection of properties where each property is defined as a key value pair. Arrays are an ordered collection, meaning that each element in the array has a specific numbered position known as an index. Now, indexes in an array are zero-based, meaning the first element has an index of 0. And then indexes are used to access and manipulate elements in the array. And we've spoke about functions. Basically, we can store different data types in the same variables, right? All right, so mm, all right, let's see. We have an object. We have an object. First name says, last name as age 18. Right, so remember, an object is a collection of properties where each property is defined as a key value pair, right? So a person will have properties of first name, last name, and age, right? Where the first name will have a value of cis, which is a string. Last name will have a value of mass, which is a string. And age will have a number, right? So how do we play around with this? This is an object, obviously. So let's see how it looks. This is how it looks, right? When we print out our object variable. Now, if we say person, which is our object, dot first name. This tells you that we are going inside of our object, and we want to know the value of our first name property, right? And the value of our first name property is sys. Now let's say I want to know the age of this person. The age of this person, meaning basically says that we are going to go into our person object, and we're going to look for property age. And once we find the property age, should give us 18 right there. Now, what if I have something like this? What am I missing here? Ronald?
You have to put a comma after 18 there.
And then if I remove this, put a comma, what must I put?
You should give that that car a key, so it has to have a key, that value. The key has to have a value. The car key has to have a value there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's see. Am I missing something? Karabo? Let's give Karabo a chance.
Yeah, I think that the car will display a null value.
Now, why would it display a null value, Karabo?
Because the string is empty.
Okay, interesting. Let's see. Let's check. The string is empty, but you're saying it should have a null value.
Yeah.
No, it's just an empty string.
Okay.
No, it's just an empty string. But yeah, good try.
Okay.
Right. Let me see something. I just forgot how. Let me see something. Okay. What Fistas? Okay, I didn't even ask a question, but Fistas, let's go. Fistas, what do you think we're gonna see? Okay. Karabo? Okay. Ronald?
I think I will not be able to see the name because now you have put the first name inside the quotation marks.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nah. Basically, I was just trying to show you there's two ways to access property values in an object.
Okay.
First, this one being you can see, right? So yeah, this is one of two ways to what is this? Access a property inside an object, right? But Karabo, good try, my G. You're learning.
So
Okay, let's move on to arrays. Now I'm gonna have an array. I'm gonna call it stuff. Okay, I'm not gonna say clothes. see. So no. Oh. No, I'm not needed. If I say stuff 0, before I ask a question, let me just say something. Remember, arrays are an ordered collection, meaning that each element in the array has a specific numbered position known as an index, right? Indexes in array are 0-based, meaning that the first element has an index of 0. Indexes are used to access and manipulate the elements in the array. Let's see them hands. What are we supposed to see? Policy? Okay. Who's next after policy?
Hi, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, you can.
Cool. So my hand was initially up for the previous objects data type. So in the case where you have the key, how would you go about obtaining? So in a scenario where you have the value, how would you go about obtaining the particular key for that value?
What do you mean?
So in the going back to the let person what? So if you have yes, if you have the value, so sys in this case for the first name, how would you go about finding a particular key if you have a value for an object?
Can I counter that question? How do you
Yes.
know how do you know the value inside that object without knowing the key?
So it might be, let's say, you are trying to find maybe, let's say in a scenario where there's a data leak or something like that, right? And then you do have values, right? But you're lacking keys. It's a very rare scenario, but not impossible, right? And then if you then having the values but trying to then link them back to in an object back to their key to their keys, right? How you so you let's say you have a copy of that array for some reason, and then an array of objects that is, and then you are iterating through this array of objects, having so you want to link the particular values to their corresponding keys.
Yeah, that one. That one is there's what is this? Object manipulation. Let me see. So you're saying that we don't know our properties. Is that what you say? But we know.
Yes, yes, you have the values. So let's say you have an array of objects, right? So let's say you had person one, person two, person three, person four, and so forth, right? And then you are trying to, you know that one of the values in this object maybe is sys, right? But you are trying to get its key, right? Given its value in an object. Is that possible? Or how would you go about it?
It is possible, nah? Yeah, it is possible. Jeez, I just forgot. That is some dark arts that you are. Is it?
Whoa.
Yeah, this is some dark arts right there. Hmm. Is it object dot? Hmm. Let me see. Get on properties. Keys. Let me see. let's try for that I'm gonna have to look is it IN keys? Okay, no. Let me just do that. Forgot to say. So for let's see. Okay, I'm gonna have to see if I'm doing the right thing. Okay. Okay. So this gives us last name. This is giving us our keys. How do I get the values now? Okay. Okay, I'm getting keys now, but I need to get values. So since stuff raw as my object, let me go back to this. No. Rather I. It's asking for my last name. No. Returns an object containing all properties. Contains an object. Returns the name for all properties. No. There's a property with a specified name. Let's try. Let's see. Am I missing something though? Oh, has own. There's an old game. Okay, I forgot this. Let's try, but object of keys. Let me try. See what happens there. Nothing happens. Object of keys. What does object keys do? It returns the lowest object. Let's check. Um, false. Okay, this is some dark art stuff. I'd have to, yes, Fukuna.
Hi. Morning to everyone on the call. I think you had it at first when you had console log stuff free, stuff ra. I have no idea what that means.
No, so as I understand what he said, he says we have the value. Like, let's say
Yes.
we have cons, right? And then we want to know what is the property name. I don't know at what point we're gonna get there, but let's just satisfy the gentleman. So essentially what we're gonna do is that we have a loop where we're looping through this array, and then we have our objects, which is stuff like this. So now inside this loop, I have key. So it's gonna be this key, right? Ta, 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 ta.
Yes.
I mean, to
Yes.
satisfy him, we could just do it like this and then console log key, and then we'll see all our keys. But I think he wants to know, like, if I have this, is it the first name or the last name? So that's what I'm trying to figure out how we go about that. So yeah.
Object.values and object.keys. Thing is, it's been a long time. This usually happens with real-time what is this? Real-time database from Google. So there's two different ways. The first way you did it where you were console logging stuff ra at I. I think you're supposed to put key after. That way it was going to target the object and then add the key to actually get the value.
This one returns values. What are you saying?
Another square bracket and then key. If I remember correctly, this should work.
It gives us the values. He wants the keys. So for example, I also don't get the question, but I'm just trying to. So if I have Caesar, right? Then I have to go to the object and say, is Caesar a name or last name?
Oh wait, so you are given the value, you want the actual key. That means you'd actually have to get the object dot values, and then using this method, you're actually grabbing the other way. But when would that actually be useful?
That's almost myself, but anyway.
Object dot values, and then you put your
This is gonna return. Okay, no.
Actually, I forgot how this method works.
Yeah, this is just gonna print out values.
And then you need an if statement using the other way we check to check if the key matches. Like, it's a
Yeah.
whole lot actually. Like,
If okay, but this returns an array. So it returns an array. So I'd have to know. Ugh, let me do this.
yeah, I think
This returns an array. So I'd have to know definitely that the first element in the array is either what is this? It's either name or last name. And I guess at this point, according to Mkolis's question, I don't know which is which. So even if I were to have an if statement, how do I index the array to say either the first element or the last element? Do you see what I mean?
thing is you need to loop. Obviously, that means you're getting the value from somewhere, either an input or otherwise. But I think this is actually going to take forever for now. So my suggestion, Kolisi, can you send the question that you have on Slack? And while Caesar is busy with the rest of his session, I can actually try to get that answer for you. Because I didn't get the full question.
Okay, cool. We'll do so. Thank you.
All right.
Some dark art stuff right there. Anyway. Hmm. Okay,
Okay,
we're
can we take 5-minute break or you still want to continue?
I'm good. Let's continue.
Okay.
If everyone wants to continue, of course, I'm good. With the thumbs up if you want to continue. I don't know. I don't know what the silence means. Okay, let's continue then. Where were we? Arrays. Did I ask a question here? Or okay, I see Ronald's hand is up. Ronald, do you want to answer this?
Oh, okay. I wanted to assist with that question there, but it's fine. We can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take Mulanga because their hand has been up?
Yeah, they can answer. It's fine.
Hi. Yeah, I was gonna answer this one. When we say, do you want me to answer for both statements?
Yeah, you can answer.
Oh, okay. So console.log staff 0, that will be st. I don't know how to pronounce that. And then our second statement, staff of index 2 will be gloss. And then the third statement, dot log staff index 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have 7, so I don't know if that will give an error or what. Yeah, that's what I think. So thanks.
Okay. Thanks for that. Should I just reveal the magic trick or okay, let's just. Right, so index 7 is undefined, obviously because we don't have it. We just have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it, right? And so for staff index 0 will have Tlati. Stuff index at 2, so you count from 0, 1, 2. Then you have clause, right? And now for this one, you'll have to count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we don't have index 7 and hence the undefined, right? So if we have -1 Mulanga, what do you think is going to happen? Wrong answers are welcome.
Sorry. Maybe I'm right or I might be wrong. Maybe you go in reverse. So it'll start from the other side, maybe knock. But yeah, that's what I think. Or maybe you'll give an error between the two.
Also undefined. You had the right idea about going into reverse, but that requires a bit of logic. But yes. Anyway, so how do I add an item into an array? So if I say stuff dot push, don't worry about what push is or what it means. We'll get to that. So if I have stuff dot push and we have a new member in our stuff. And if when I what am I expected to see here? Karabo?
You'll be able to see Kati, Vok, Jawas, Knock, and Cease. Thief and Cease.
Okay. And what would be index of C's?
Index of Cease will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will be 5.
Okay. Thanks for that. So last question, Karabo. Let's say
Yes.
what is the length of the array? The total number of elements inside the array. Is there a way we can determine that?
At 6.
How do you determine it without your naked eye?
How do you determine it without your
naked eye?
You're just gonna go through the array, and you know that with length, 0 is not included. So you're gonna start with Kati is gonna be number 1, and Vok is gonna be number 2, and Jos is gonna be number 3, and Nog is gonna be number 4, and Fifth is gonna be number 5, and C's is gonna be number 6.
What if I just say dot length? Dot length is not a function.
Yes, I think. Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
Okay. Not bad. Not bad. So in terms of objects, rather, we're gonna start manipulating arrays and objects in our next okay, wait, let me see. Yes, either Tuesday or Wednesday, right? And then I'll show you guys how to manipulate arrays and objects using if statements, for loops. Basically, we're gonna go through loops, while loops, do while loops, for loops, all those loops, and then if statements, switch statements, and all of the stuff. So don't be what's the word? What's the word? What's the word? Don't be discouraged or feel overwhelmed if you don't know what dot push is or dot length is. It's okay. We'll get to that. But for now, I just want you guys to understand how do we access certain elements inside of an array. And that's basically it, right? And for what am I missing? Functions. Yeah. We already did a little bit of functions. Let me just say a function example, and then you know almost function. And then I have to okay, let me do this. Let me say example like this, right? So I defined the function example, and now I'm calling it on line 52, right? And then inside function, we're console logging function. Also, don't be, if you don't understand functions at this point, also don't feel overwhelmed or discouraged, right? We're going to go deeper into these things and you'll start understanding how these things work, right? So for now, you just catch it in your mind, in your brain, and be like, okay, so this is a function, I bet. Another way to declare function, you can do it like this. Const, let me just right, just like that, right? And this this basically does this. It's the same thing. I think this syntax is, if I'm not mistaken, ES5, and this one is ES6, if I'm not mistaken, right? Apparently, there's ES7. Yeah, these things are moving. There's ES7. So either define a function one of two ways. All right. So, what am I missing? Okay. I think that's it for data types. That's what I need you guys to understand for now in data types. We've covered primitive data types, and then this is reference data types. Okay. For the next, okay, let's see, what's the next? Operators, operations, operators and expressions. This one should be fairly short, but I'm gonna ask us to have a 5-minute break. And because this is gonna require a bit of understanding, right? Because when we move to conditional statements, and you're going to have to understand this. And this will help us mostly when we do conditional statements, arrays, functions, and all of that. So yeah, I'm just gonna ask just for a 2-minute break. Yeah, and then we'll be back. Hopefully by 12 we'll be done.
Caesar, I'll give them 5 minutes so that they can also answer the poll questions as well.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so they'll be back at 11 38.
38, yeah. Should be fine. Thanks.
It's 11:38. I believe that everyone is back. By show of hands, please raise your hand so that I can see whether you're back or not. All right, thank you. You can lower your hands. Caesar, are you back? Are you good?
Good now. Yeah. Oof.
You good? Okay. I just wanna get this across. Please remember to use the study hall channel for discussions and be on the lookout for sharing of resources under that resources channel. And then lastly, the tasks and submission links are in the task channel. And then please make sure that you don't communicate on the general channel. Thank you. Caesar, you can proceed.
Yeah. Wait. Operators and expressions. Okay. So, for operators, right? We have arithmetic operators, assignment operators, increment and decrement operators, comparison operators, and let's see, comparison operators, logical operators, and so on and so forth. All right. But let's talk about arithmetic. So basically, these are used for mathematical operations on operands, right? So if you have 2 plus 3, the plus is your operator, the 2 and the 3 are your operands, right? Remember, if you do maybe get a job, an interview, and then they ask you this, which they most likely don't, you'd have to know this, but it's okay if you don't, right? But yeah, just keep that in mind. Then we have assignment operators that are used to assign values to variables. So for assignment operators, we'll have an equal sign, plus sign, minus, whatever that is, that one, the percentage, and the double asterisk, and the single one. I'll show you guys how we're going to use assignment operators. So I think you see a plus sign there, and then you saw another plus sign, and you're asking, Mara, is this an operator? You'll see how we use it and how we basically distinguish between the two. But ideally, you might not want to think of it as the same thing, but I'll show you an example. So we have increment and decrement operators used to increase or decrease the value of a variable by 1. And then you have a double plus sign and a double plus sign for increment operator and a double subtraction sign for a decrement operator, right? And then we have comparison operators that are used to compare two values and give back a Boolean value, either true or false. Take note of that because we're going to use that a lot, especially in conditional statements. Then we have logical operators, right? Which perform logical operations. So for the sake of this a webinar or lesson, we're going to stick to and, or, and or, and not, right? Maybe for those guys who are familiar with electronics, I forgot that module, digital something. You guys might be familiar with these concepts, and feel free to correct me if I go wrong there, because I know you academics, you like to correct. Anyway, so let me create a file for operators, right? So I'll say touch operators.js. Just gonna comment this out. Javascript source operators like that. Let's see if the bad boy is working. Bad boy. Okay, we good. Let's start with arithmetic operators. Let's have a variable x assign it to value 5. Let's have variable y assign it to value 6, right? And then let's sum is equals to x plus y. Right? And then let sub equals to y minus x. And let's have mul variable and say x like that. And then let's have let dev equals to x divided by y. And let's have let mod equals to x kind of modulus. This is modulus, right? And then lastly we'll have let expo goosebumps. If you know, you know. Like that. And then let me just make that prettier. So sum, just sub div mod we're missing expo response. Expo mod. For those of you who have experience with JavaScript, right? At this point, you're probably bored. Don't worry. Next week, we start jumping in the dog art stuff, some Voldemort stuff. So stay tuned. All right. Can I have someone who slightly is new to JavaScript and who is brave to tell us what are we expecting in these statements? Don't worry, if you are shy, I have Ronald, I have Polisi, I have Constantia. We're here to guide you. We have Karabo as well. Karabo. Okay, let's go with Mpo. Mpo. Mpo.
Hello.
Yeah. Can hear you.
Yeah. I think the first console will print some like 5 plus 6.
Keep
Yeah,
going.
which is 11. And number 2 for sub, why you're gonna give us a normal subtraction like 6 minus 5, which is 1. And for mult will give us 5 times 6.
It's fine if you don't. It's fine.
And for div, like we're dividing, I guess.
Okay.
5 divided by 6.
It's fine also.
Then for mod, you're gonna give us a remainder. When we say 5 divided by 6, it's like gonna give us a remainder.
Okay.
Then for expo, I don't know, maybe it's multiplying 2 times. I don't know.
Okay, let's hear the more Hulisani. Let's hear from Hulisani.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Sure.
I'm gonna attempt the last one. I think it's 5 to the power of 6. exponent.
I don't have my calculator and I'm not a maths genius, so I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
All right, so we have 11, we have 1, we have 30. We have for div 0.8. And then we have for modulus, we have 5. Ooh. And then for expo, we have that. Any questions? Let me see something. Okay. Do you guys have questions for modulus and expo, especially those two? Okay, that's also fine. Okay, Luvuyo. Koala. Okay, please correct me there. Luvuyo?
Yes, yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you?
Yes, so basically with the mod, it didn't divide, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I gave a 5. I'm just trying to understand.
So basically, let me just put it in layman's, or let me attempt to put it in layman's terms. We have 6 divided by 2, right? Now 6 goes into, 12 divided by 6. 6 goes into 12 2 times and it leaves no remainder. So hence the modulus of 12 and 6 is 0, meaning there's no remainder, right? But if I change my y to 8, that means that 6 goes into 12 once. 8 goes into 12 once and it leaves a remainder of 4. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yeah. Keep this modulus thing in mind, because when we start working on conditional statements, it will come up a lot and it's gonna get tricky. When we're doing that, it's gonna get tricky. So keep this concept in mind. Yeah, Bo. All right. Fistas.
Pitas.
Hey, Pitas. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Pitas. Did you want to say something? Your hand is raised. That's what I'm asking. Okay, cool. Let's move to okay. This is arithmetic operators, right? Let's move to okay, I'm almost out of time, so I'm gonna move quickly. Assignment operators. Right? So let's say let's have x. Do I have x? Or should I use them? Yeah, let me just reuse this. So we have x, and then if we say x plus equals to 3, let's log that. Can I have, okay, maybe I'll take one more question, then after that, or rather I'll ask a question, then after that I'm just gonna fly through because of time. So maybe I'll have one experienced guy with JavaScript give us an answer. Just one. One is
Can
fine.
we take it to Milengo Tabang for a change?
Yes.
I think it's going to be on line 21. That means it's x is equal to x plus 3. Then on line 23, it will log oh wait, x is not defined. Oh, it's
yeah.
so
Let me
it's
just this. Yeah, our x is 12.
okay. If x is 12, so it will be 15.
There we go. If you guys don't understand, this basically means x is equals to x plus 3. Basically, that's what it means, right? So, and then basically then it will be 12, 12 plus 3, which is equals to 15. That's how we got here. Okay. Now let's have let's get a little right. So this basically says that x is equals to x minus 3, right? And the answer that we'll be getting is back to 12. Why? Because remember, we initialized, rather we declared our variable x and initialized it to 12, right? And in this operation right here, we said x plus x is equals to x plus 3, right? And then we set it to 15. So at this point right here, x is 15. And then we said x is equals to x minus 3. And at this point, x is 12, goes back to 12, right? And then that's where we have our console log, right? So that's basically it. So when we're doing if statements and loops and you see something like this, don't panic, just go back here. Just remember, oh, x is equals to x, whatever, right? And the same with x, what is this? Multiply. So it's the same with this, right? Multiply 12 by 3, 36, right? Yes, 36, right? So again, takes this like that. See? Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. I think that should cover it. Now let's do increment and decrement operators, right? So okay. Let's use x is equals to, okay, at this point x is okay, what's x? It's 36 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's fine. X is 36, right? Now let us do something very weird. If we say x, okay, no, let me just do it here. If I say x plus plus, plus plus. Okay, I want to ask what do you think is gonna happen, but we're nearly out of time. Okay, Mpo. Hey, you wanted to. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Whoa. Before you answer.
Oh.
Before you answer. Now you can answer.
I think the first one, since our x is 36, it's gonna add 1 to 36, then the answer will be 37. And the second one, I think we're saying 1 plus our answer, which is 36, which is gonna give us 37 also.
Okay. Does this look right, Mpo? Please explain again. Line 36, 7, and 38.
Okay, number 36, we're saying the value that we have for x, which is 36, right? Is 35. We're saying 35 plus 1. That's why it give us 36. Then
No.
number 1,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
saying our value plus 1 is gonna give us 36. Then number 2, actually let me go to number 3. Number 3, it give us 38 because we're saying 1 plus plus the value that we get at the top, which is 37. So we're adding 1 on 37. That's why it give us 38.
Okay. Let's hear what Milani says. Sowopa. Milani Sowopa.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me now?
You're speaking softly, but I can hear you.
Okay. So can you hear me better now?
Yes,
Hmm?
I can hear you.
Okay, so the first one is a post increment operator, meaning it'll return the value before adding 1 to it. So that's why it remains 36. And then in line 37, we're printing out 36. And then the last one is a pre-increment operator, meaning it'll increase the value and then return it.
I'm done. I'm done. Milani, you can take over. I'm done. That's it, folks. Anyway, yeah, Milani is right. The first one is post operator. So meaning that the value of the variable is incremented or decremented after it is used or returned. So here, from line 31, our value of our variable is 36, or rather x is the 36, right? And then here, after our post operator is 36, but it has already incremented, or rather it increments after the value is returned or used, right? So as you can see on line 37, now we're using it. And at this point, it was already incremented, so that's why we have 36. And then for our prefix operator, the value of the variable is incremented before the variable is used. I hope that makes sense. Yes, Luvuyo.
I just wanted to know, in a loop, which implementation is mostly used?
Post. Actually. It depends. Guys, remember, when you are software developers, you are problem solvers before coders. So before you decide which increment operator to use, you must solve the problem first. How are you going to solve this problem? So if the solution to your problem says you must increment before you return the variable, then use what is this? Use prefix operator. But if the solution to your problem says you must use post, then you must use post. So to answer your question, Luvuyo, most of the times when you see us using loops, especially for loops, you'll see us using what is this? Post operators. But now you'll start to see that it's not actually like that all the time when you start to do while loops or do while loops. Why? Because we are solving a certain problem in a certain way. So I hope that answers your question. It's not my English bundles have been depleted. I forgot the word. It's not a one for all fix. You know, it depends on the problem that you're trying to solve. And hopefully this will be made quite clear when we start doing for loops and while loops. Do you get that? Oh, lumping charming. Okay, let's go to comparison operators. Thank you, Luvuyo. Thank you, was it Karabo and Milani? Thank you. So now let's move to oh, by the way, guys, me commenting, I just press control and /. That's how I comment code. Control /. For those on Windows. I don't know on Mac. What do you guys do? All right. Comparison operators. Now I need you guys to turn your minds on. Oh, wait. Obviously, this is less than. No? So if I have like that, this basically says that A is less than B, right? And then if I have this is greater than. Mahlatsi, can you give me until 15 more minutes? Then we'll be done.
15.
Yeah, 12,
Oh,
20.
okay.
Okay. I agree you guys started late. So yeah. Just kidding, jokes. Then what do we have here? We have less. We have less than or equal to. Then here we have this is greater. It's greater than or equal to, right? And then we have equal, which we spoke about. And then we have strictly equal to. Right. Now, let me comment this. Let me bring our brother and our sister back here. Okay, so let's log x is equals to y. And let's log a strictly equal y. All right. And then oh, I forgot. We also have this, which is inequality, and then we also have this. Something along those lines. Okay. So I'm just gonna, because of time, I'm just gonna show you the answer here. I think I explained this before. So x is equals to 12, no. X is strictly false, right? This is a Boolean value. So x is not equal to y, x is not strictly not equal to y, right? X is greater than y, true, because 12 is greater than 8, right? So if you have an expression like this, right? And then you have your values. This will give you either a true or a false. So this expression will give you a Boolean value, right? So if you have x is less than y, it's false again, right? Now let me just play a trick and say 8. No, let me say 12. And so x is, oh, why is it true? X is equals to 12. Yes, because it's just comparing the comparison is just between so what is this? Is it the value? Yeah. So it's 12 and 12, right? But when we say x is strictly equals to y, we're also accounting for the data type. So the difference is that it does not only check let's say 12 and 12, it also checks the data type of this variable. So it does not, so if it's 12 and 12, so x is 12 and x is string 12, it says yes, they equal to basically the same thing. And then, but now with the strictly equal to, it says, okay, you might say it's the same thing, but let's check the data type. And the data type for this one is a number, for this one is a string, hence it returns false, right? What am I missing here? Right? So this says this is false. It says because they're not equal to. Technically, they're the same thing. So hence it's false. And then here, yes, x is strictly not equal to y because the data types are not the same. There we go. Let me move to logical operators. I have 10 minutes. Okay. So we have an and basically evaluates operands and returns true if, I don't remember reading this. Yeah, we have logical operators. Okay, we have and. So and evaluates operands and return true only if all the expressions are true. So you have an expression that returns true and another expression that returns true. The entire expression is true. If you have a true and false, well, it's false. If you have false and true, it's false. And if you have false and false, it remains false. And for or basically it evaluates operands and return true if one or more expressions are true. So you have true and true, it returns true. If you have true and false, it returns true. If you have false and true, it returns true. And you have false and false, it returns false, right? And then we have the not, the operator to Boolean returns a flip value. So whatever, if you have a true and you have the flip of it, obviously the flip of true is false. Basically, is an opposite, right? So if for and, let's just make an example. Remember for and, it's true and true will return true, right? So if we say x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0. X is greater than 0 because it's 12. X is greater than 0 because 12 is greater than 0. So that is true. And y is greater than 0. Y is 6. So this is true. So the entire expression returns true, right? Now, if we have something like this, the second expression, line 56, is gonna log false. Why? Because our first expression is true, but our last expression is false. So now the entire thing is false, right? So that's basically it. Let us do the or. This one, basically the same thing. False and false is false. Let's have, okay, let's just repeat those expressions actually. Okay. So we have 12 is greater than 0, true. So the entire thing is true. Just one expression being true means the entire expression is true. So here we have x is greater than 12. Yes, it's true. And then or y is less than 0. Nope. 6 is not less than 0, so this is false, but the entire expression is true because of this, right? And then we have x, 12 is less than 6. 12 is less than 0. This is false, but let us check the other expression. 6 is less than 0. This is also false, so the entire expression is false, right? So let us confuse the enemy. Let's confuse the enemy and have something like this. So 12 is, so what's happening here? 12 is less than 6, false. 6 is less than 0. And so all of this is, let me put that. So these two is false, right? Now, by virtue of this expression being false, it means we don't even have to check this one because of the and. So and basically says all expressions or conditions have to be true, right? If one of them is false, then it's false. So that's why we have a false here. All right. And yeah, here we have a false because this is false or this is false. So that's why we have a false. Um, let's do the one, yeah, let's do this one. So I'll say let y is equals to true, let x is equals to false. And if I have Okay, so initially we have our XX variable. We declared our XX variable and initialized it to a Boolean value of false, right? So when we have a not operator, this basically flips and returns a flipped value, which is a Boolean, right? So we flip our initial value of false to true, and that's why we have true right here. And then YY variable initially was set to true, and when we flip it, it's false. So this basically says not. It's not operator. So we flip it and it becomes false. Long day, long 3 hours, but we're gonna stop right here for today, and then I think we'll continue on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Tuesday, that's where things start to get a little bit more serious, and we start playing with dark magic a little bit, and then Wednesday is when we're actually going to be playing with dark magic. So have your wands ready, ladies and gentlemen, and then I'll see you then. Yes, Mulanga? Mulanga? Mulanga?
Can you
Yeah,
can
I
you hear
can
me?
hear you.
I wanted to ask, are we gonna have a task for JavaScript?
Okay, so the way I see it, right, we have a lot of people who are struggling with submitting their assignments for HTML and CSS, right? So
Yes.
because I'm a great guy, my team and I had an agreement. For those who are struggling and for those who are new, we're just going to give you that time to submit your HTML and CSS. So I just don't know the deadline. Maybe this will be communicated on Slack. But for, let's say for the sake of this conversation, let's just assume that the deadline is Monday. After deadline is Monday, 9 a.m. After 9 a.m., no more excuses. No more submissions. My internet was down. My dog bit my laptop. None of that. It means HTML and CSS tasks have to be submitted, right? However, for those of you who are done with that, I challenge you guys to do some more research on what we talked about, because I kid you not, once we start, or rather when we start Tuesday and Wednesday, you guys, I don't expect you guys to have questions on uh basically this an operation like this. So if I'm writing an if statement, for example, and I say x is greater than y, then do something like this. I don't really expect you guys to not know what I'm trying to do here, right? So I'm just going to talk about if statements, that's it. What's happening inside of here, you guys should already know. And you should already know by virtue of the lesson today. Here, right? That if I have 12 and 6, if let's say x is 12 and y is 6, and if I have 12 is less than 6, obviously this is false. So you should know that this statement will return false because 12 is not greater, I mean, it's not less than 6. You hear what I'm trying to say? So long story short, we won't have a JavaScript task for today. However, Tuesday and Wednesday, you will be expected to know these things. So that means you guys are gonna have to do your own research and you're gonna have to do a lot of reading on what we've covered. So I leave it into your honorable hands, Mulanga.
Okay, thanks. And just two quick more questions. In terms of the repositories that we created on GitHub, do you guys suggest that we leave them there when, like, obviously for a kind of portfolio-ish review, or should we delete it when we're done with all the tasks? And then second question, I wanted to ask if we have like problems with the tasks that we have, because I've been trying to push my repository because I didn't submit with this assignment with the CSS because task one I'd already put CSS. So I was just perfecting it a little on task one, and I'm trying to update the repository. But then it's refusing to push to my remote repository. So can we have like, I don't know, is there a way in which we can just hop in a quick call to actually display the kind of error that we have and be helped quickly?
You know what? You know what would be helpful, Mulanga, no? Even to us as well, because
Yes.
we're not we're not the greatest of wizards, right? We are wizards, but we're not the greatest of wizards. Sometimes when you have an error and you come to me and you say, I can't push to my repository. I don't know. I don't know how to help you because I don't know what you did. I don't know what you are doing. So basically what I'm trying to say is you have to document your steps. So let's say you make changes locally on your PC, on your machine, right? And then you git add, you stage, you commit, and then you push. Document that and say this is what I've done, or rather take a screenshot and say this is what I've done. This is the error I'm receiving. Where am I going wrong? And then it's easier for the wizards, the facilitators to say, ah, I see where you went wrong, etc., etc. So it's very difficult for facilitators to know exactly what's going wrong when you just say, I tried to push, I have an error. Then it's like, hish, bruh, let's go back. What did you do? Okay, I did A, B, and C, E, F. Okay, I forgot my alphabets. And then this is the error I'm having. Then it's easier for us to help. So when you go on Slack and you post your error, or rather you say I have an issue, document your steps, screenshot. This is what I did.
Okay.
Then screenshot the error. Then we'll be able to know how to help you. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but isn't it quicker if like just like we had a class now to just jump on a video call quickly in which I can display my screen, and that wouldn't even take probably like 15 or 20 minutes, and then that's done, instead of you know, having chat going back and forth on Slack and questions being asked, and then I have to respond, and then so on and so forth. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm just beseeching.
I will leave that. I will give Matlati and Josie and Vukona the platform. But if ideally, if it were me, I would uh I would say that let's say you said it now at 12:30 and I read it at 1 or at 1. Then I will say at 2, let's have, and then
Yeah.
I'll set it at 2 to invite you, and then we'll hash it out then. But
Yeah.
obviously it's just you. What if I have 100 people that have not the same issue but different issue? Then it's like, whew, I have to set invites or meetings with 100 people. So again, yeah. But I hear you. I'll leave it to Vukona to answer that and Matlati and all of them.
Okay, thanks. And then can you answer my GitHub question?
What's going
Or
on
should I
again?
say it again?
Hmm?
I was asking with the tasks that we're
Oh,
doing on GitHub
the
and the
portfolio. No,
repository
just
that
leave it
we're creating
there.
on.
Just leave it. I think in 5 years,
Okay.
in 5 years'
Okay.
time, you look back, you'd laugh and you'd be like, I was writing this code. You need that for your own, I don't know, ego, but yeah, it would be nice to leave it there.
Okay. Got you. Thanks.
Sure. Vukona, do you want to answer Mulanga?
I think you did answer, but just to add in, simplified version. It's not practical to have virtual sessions with each and every person who has an issue. So if you have a problem, that's why we say on Slack, provide all the context that you have in regards to your problem. If it's GitHub, tell us what's happening, what you try to do to actually solve it, so that we actually know what kind of problem that you're dealing with. But if you're going to have a session, like Caesar said, then we have 5 sessions per day, we have 10 sessions per day, and other work is actually not getting done.
Yeah, but if the problem is really that complex or not really unsolvable, to save time on a back and forth, we'll just set up a quick call. But some problems is just a matter of send a screenshot, then I tell you what's the problem and how to fix it, and that's it. Also, guys, as software developers or software developers in the making, research is I don't know who was speaking the other day from CodeTribe, our CodeTribe alumni. She said you guys have to do a lot of research, right? So my advice to you guys, my advice, only come to the facilitators if you are defeated. Like now you are defeated, you're like, hey, you know what, I don't know. Only then ask the facilitators the question because that's how you learn. Unfortunately, in software dev and in life, you learn through mistakes. You learn once you are defeated. So if you have an error on your screen, copy and paste that error, put it on what's this thing? Stack Overflow. And then sometimes those guys help you. They walk through the problem with you. They tell you you could be doing this wrong. Here's the fix. And then only after that, if you still don't have the solution, then you can come to us facilitators and then we can help you. Because I swear, if you go through it alone and you research the problem, that's how you learn. Because nine times out of 10, the problem is because you didn't set up your environment properly, especially with Git and GitHub. And the fix is going to YouTube, looking at a video, seeing how that guy does it, and be like, oh, okay, I see where I missed it. And then you do it again, exactly how it's been done on YouTube, and you realize that, oh, it's just a small thing. 9 times out of 10, it's a small thing. But that 1% is where we facilitators come in. Right.
Okay, we can take a question from Tulu
Lufet.
Feto. Yes. Wow. Okay. Sorry for butchering your name.
It's okay. I was wondering if you guys are preparing the task before time. Can you just upload them just after the class? Because sometimes it's really hard to wake up throughout the day and then I have to work all night. In the morning, it's class again for 3 hours. You don't have time to really relax. So is
Yeah.
it possible to just post the tasks earlier so that some of us can do it on time and get time to rest?
Yeah. We can post the task, and Tatsu, correct me if I'm wrong. Moving forward, we can post the task right after the lesson. However, the video of the lesson is a bit tricky because we still have to edit those videos. Does that make sense?
The video, I don't think the video will be a problem since we are attending before the task, right?
Or if you feel so much, sure, we'll do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure, sure.
Okay, to add on to what Caesar just said, usually what we do is to provide you guys with everything all at once rather than sending it one by one. So hence, it delays because we are working on the video, and then after fixing the video, then we can now send everything all at once. That's what we usually do.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you. Are you sorted, Sulufet? Okay.
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay. We can move on to Fetus.
Yes, automatically. I wanted to ask if ever we would actually receive the assessment that we have missed.
If ever you?
We will be able to get the assessment that we have missed.
Yes, you
Now
will.
we are reaching the end of the day. So I wanted
Yes,
to
you
ask
will.
because of I'm glad enough now they don't give us any assessment, yeah, so that we can catch up from the one that we missed.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Okay. I'll take 3 more questions and then we have to end the session. Moving on to Tobek. Tobeka. Please unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, Tobeka.
Sister Matlati, I just wanted to ask, is it possible for me to submit the assignments to the closest MLab? Because now I'm struggling to do the assignments because I do not have a laptop. So I just wanted to ask that question that is it possible for me that I submit my things to the closest MLab and then they would send my work to you?
Nokwanda, can you please take this one?
Yeah, I don't think it's possible because we closed the labs currently. So yeah. I don't
Okay,
know.
no, I
With yeah, you can maybe find usually some people use the library or the internet cafe. But from our side, all the locations currently we have closed.
okay. I'll get the closest cafe to do the work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Tobeka.
so much.
Was it Festus or Tobeka?
It's Tobeka.
Okay. Thank you so much. If we don't have any more questions, we can now end the session. Thank you, Caesar, for the session, and we are going to communicate with everyone. Most importantly, the people that are left behind, we are going to make sure that you catch up. So you have time until 9 a.m. Monday to submit both tasks, task 1 and task 2. So if ever you never submitted a task, you have an opportunity to do so. Everyone has an opportunity to do so. So please take this time to practice, do your research, read, go to YouTube, look at these sessions, and so that you are sorted for the next session. Be prepared, fully prepared. As Caesar said, that it's going to now get a bit brutal. It's going to get intense. So you need all the knowledge that you need for the next session. So we will see you in the next session, which will be on Tuesday at 9 a.m. So thank you so much for participating, and we're looking forward to everything that you can do. Happy coding and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.